Tens of thousands of newly registered voters might have their ability to actually vote in this election taken away after police raided the organization that signed them on in the first place in extremely suspicious circumstances. Police raided the Indiana Voter Registration Project offices on October 4th, seizing documents and equipment and forcing the group to cease its get-out-the-vote efforts 1 week before the end of the state's registration period. So there was still more time for them to register individuals, of which they had registered 45,000. Now, Bill Bursten, the chief public information officer for the Indiana State Police, told ThinkProgress that law enforcement is investigating whether IVRP violated fraud and forgery laws, which there's little reason, based on the evidence I've seen, to believe that they did, and we'll get into that. Now, the IVRP is still unsure whether those 45,000 people that it did register will be permitted to vote this year, or how the state will handle their applications while the police investigation is ongoing. Understand that the IVRP launched in just April of this year to improve voter participation in Indiana, particularly in African-American neighborhoods in Indianapolis and the Chicago suburbs. In 2014, Indiana had the worst voter turnout rate in the country. When asked about would they be able to vote, would the investigation be done by election day, would they actually go through, Bursten said, investigations of this nature are complicated and can take an extended period of time to complete. Yeah. That would be convenient for you, wouldn't it?
I have a very clear and strong opinion on this, even more so than I regularly do. So if you're African American, this is why you can't ever vote for Republicans. It's not that they hate black people, it's that they're against black people. So let me explain. There is no credible allegation of voter fraud here. What they're doing is, this is like Jim Crow era blocking black voters. These guys were effectively, legally, within every reasonable bound, registering black voters. That's exactly what they were doing. And the Republicans of Indiana thought, nah, we don't want their kind voting. We don't want it. So they came in. So that's why that last sentence that John read you is so indicative. It's going to take some time to investigate this. I mean, I don't know. I say voter fraud, you say no voter fraud. I guess we won't find out till after the election. Yeah. But meanwhile, you will stop registering blacks because we do not want blacks to vote. Now, the Republicans, some that acknowledge reality, might say, well, that doesn't mean they hate black people. Just black people tend to vote for Democrats, so they're trying to stop them for political reasons. Does that really make it that much better?
Yeah.
You could have said the same thing in the South in the 1920s, the 1950s, the 1960s. Well, I mean, they don't hate black people. They just don't want them to vote because they vote against white interest. You see what I'm saying, right? Well, whether they hate them or not, okay, that's a different question. But they are against black people voting. Yeah. And that is unconscionable. By the way, it's also un-American, unconstitutional. The guys who pretend to care about the Constitution, all they care about is selling guns. That's the only part of the Constitution that they give a damn about. The rest of it, they couldn't care less. And this is an absolute hideous crime. I'll go further. I think that the people who stopped this voter registration, and when we find out, and the federal government should get involved and say, hey, look, if there's voter fraud, let's roll up our sleeves here and find out, okay? And if there's voter fraud, congratulations, Indiana. Okay, our bad, right? If there's not voter fraud, and we know you did this to make sure that American citizens couldn't vote when they had every right to vote, well, you should be arrested.
Yeah.
There should be severe penalties for that. You know why? You're the one committing fraud.
Yeah.
You're the one who's un-American and who is against black people, who's against your own citizens. And they use the cops. So, I mean, that's it. We're right back in Jim Crow.
Well,
if you're using cops to make sure black people can't vote, well, what the hell is that?
I have a person I would like to recommend to be on that list to potentially go to jail if they found that there's no voter fraud. That would be Secretary of State Connie Lawson, a Republican who previously, before becoming Secretary of State, sponsored extremely strict voter ID laws in the state. Then, as Secretary of State, earlier this year, when word got out that this organization had been successful in getting a population that in previous years had voted at very low rates to begin to register, started using scare tactics in the media, talking about nefarious groups that were breaking laws. Eventually, police were sent to volunteers' homes that had been working for the organization to start to berate them with questions and try to get them to admit to some sort of wrongdoing, saying, oh, how many are you supposed to register? What are you doing that's against the law? they were able to track down something like 200 applications that had been filled out incorrectly. No evidence that there was any purposeful fraud, and in fact, those people, because they'd filled out the applications wrong, and the organization, by law, is required to hand in all of them, whether they're filled in correctly or incorrectly, those people weren't getting an extra vote. Those people wouldn't be able to vote because they filled in the paperwork wrong.
And in fact, the organization couldn't correct it for them.
They're not allowed to by law.
So, look, how about we do this deal? After the election, pick a number. A significant percentage of these, if we find voter fraud, 5%, 10%, okay, let's have the people who ran the organization go to jail, okay? If we don't find that number, let's put the people who blocked people from voting, full well knowing that there really was no evidence of voter fraud, let's put them in jail. Do we have a deal, Republicans? You know we don't have a deal because you know there ain't voter fraud, and you say, oh, no. I meant to criminalize black people, not me, right? So that's the last part of this that's grotesque. What do? Here we go again. Criminalizing black people. Oh, we had to raid. You know what they did? Not only did they raid their offices, they're signing up people to vote, the most American thing you could do. They raided the guys who are the organizers, their homes. They went into their homes to intimidate them. So what are you doing? We're registering people to vote. Oh, yeah? Who are you registering to vote? Oh, I got it. You're registering blacks to vote. I got it. It's not unclear what you're doing.
Cenk, I have the solution. The whole registering process, there's all these, it's shadowy, and we don't know what they're doing. They might be breaking laws. So how about this? How about we have automatic registration of the entire American population without having to go through this bullshit process of personally registering each individual? Automatic same-day registration for every American who wants to vote, and then we don't have to worry about these nefarious groups.
Well, they're not going to take that deal either because they don't want black people to vote.
Damn.
And then so don't spare me about, oh, no. It's not fair to say the Republicans are the racist party. It's not fair to say that the Republicans are against black people. Yeah, they're certainly against black people voting and having the same rights as everyone else. And yes, that is racist. And no, they're not the criminals. You're the criminals.